add an egg that's been coated in a thick white paste. The news anchor keeps the egg. 30 years ago, a BBC program called Tomorrow's World captivated viewers with a seemingly simple demonstration.
An unconventional way of cooking eggs? Well, this is no ordinary egg.
The camera zooms in on a blowtorch pointed directly at an egg that's been coated in a thick white paste. The news anchor keeps the egg in that direct flame for 3 minutes.
Well, it hasn't broken up at all, and you can see on the front here it's glowing red hot.
Then the intrigue. He turns the blowtorch off, picks up the egg with his bare hand, then cracks it over a glass bowl. What's inside?
The egg hasn't even begun to start cooking.
Broadcast in 1990, this was the first look at a new super fire retardant material known as Starlight. That's light as in L-I-T-E. But its secretive inventor died, supposedly without ever sharing his formula. And now students at UC Merced, like Motaz Dahabra, are joining the ranks of enthusiasts around the world trying to recreate it.
Just figuring out how to make things work when everything's kind of against you. I think that's what I like most about this project.
The inventor was a complete unknown, an enigmatic British hairdresser named Maurice Ward, who claimed to have stumbled upon Starlight in his kitchen by mixing common household ingredients.
Science is full of accidents that produced great inventions. Penicillin, Teflon, even cornflakes were all developed through happenstance.
Ward showed off his concoction on TV in the US and the UK, like in this Dateline NBC segment in the mid-90s, but he was notoriously tight-lipped about what was in it.
You know what it does, but you don't necessarily know how it does what it does.
I'm perfectly happy to say that it is what it is and it does what it does.
And despite supposedly drawing attention from big players like NASA and the aerospace giant Boeing, Ward never made a business partnership or even patented Starlight before dying in 2011. Today, though, the internet is full of amateur chemists offering their own Starlight recipes, because the idea is tantalizing. If a thin coating could withstand a direct flame of thousands of degrees, what could it do for space shuttles, airplanes, or homes built in wildfire-prone areas? That's what captivated UC Merced student Motaz Dahabra.
You could literally spray it on your car, spray it on your house, whatever you want to spray it on to make something that's fireproof. That's one of the biggest applications and selling points for it.
Dahabra is a mechanical engineering undergraduate at UC Merced. He's part of a team of graduating seniors trying to recreate the formula in partnership with NASA's Jet Propulsion Laboratory.
Did you set it up? I haven't set it up.
Dahabra and his teammates created over 150 different recipes for Starlight. Today, they're putting batch number 62 through the blowtorch test.
Ready?
They've molded it into a little white circle about a half-inch thick. It looks pretty underwhelming, like a doughy, uncooked biscuit.
All right, 3, 2, 1, go.
But under the flame, it's a champ. The top, at nearly 4,000 degrees Fahrenheit, blackens, puffs up, and crusts over, kind of like a marshmallow that fell into a campfire. But the bottom, it's not even 100 degrees Fahrenheit. Can I touch it? Oh, yeah. It's like barely warm at all. And it's still soft underneath.
Yep.
The key property is that puffy crust that forms on top. It's called Intumescence, and it's a buffer of air that essentially insulates the rest of the material. Lots of intumescent paints and resins are now on the market, though none quite capture the magic of Starlight. So did you recreate it? Did you make Starlight?
I don't know. Nobody knows what Starlight is.
What Dahabra means is their concoction contains only 7 ingredients so far, of the 21 that Maurice Ward had hinted at. But the team is open about what's in it. Here's teammate Christopher Toy.
So we have the normal kitchen cornstarch, baking soda, and then we have a gallon of school glue. So all of our mixtures need those.
There are also some gardening and painting supplies, all blended using a kitchen hand mixer. But the students' bigger goal is to develop a rigorous, methodical process for testing Starlight recipes, to make something scientifically legitimate out of Starlight's mysterious, almost mythical history. Because of that mystery, not everyone buys into Starlight. Many scientists believe it's a flat-out hoax, but Thomas Pave says that doesn't matter. He's the engineer at NASA's Jet Propulsion Laboratory who coordinated the UC Merced project.
Looking at this problem is real engineering. It is actual science that is being done right now, and it's not just a fairy tale.
But the story of the original Starlight may not be over. Two companies affiliated with Morris Ward's family now claim to own his recipe, though neither has patented anything yet, and only one has made a public demonstration. Plus, the Boeing company does have a similar sounding patent, though a representative told me it has no connection to Starlight.
Fire cabinet unlocked, right?
The UC Merced students? They're not too concerned. Motaz Dahabra says there's more than enough room in the market for competition and maybe even collaboration.
We're just increasing the circle, that collaborative circle, which I think might help everybody out.
That circle that could have existed if Maurice had done things differently, in the first
I don't blame him. He had, in my opinion, he had really good reasons why he didn't release it. Because something that's really good and useful could always be used for the wrong reasons as well.
These students think their reasons, though, are the right ones. They graduated last Saturday, but they're leaving their methods to next year's class, so hopefully they can come a few steps closer to Starlight. With Valley Public Radio, I'm Carrie Klein.
That is a fascinating, out of left field kind of story, Carrie. And I understand there's a bit more to it than what you were able to put in the story.
Yeah, that's right. I wish I could have gone on for much longer. I mentioned at the end a few companies who claim that they've got the original formula for Starlight. I had conversations with them that I wanted to highlight a little bit. But, I started tracking them down because really what fascinated me in particular was whether Morris Ward, the inventor, whether he really died with the formula and why he would or would not have.
Right. He came up with this invention that held a tremendous amount of potential in the fields of engineering and aerospace. And you said yourself he agreed to lots of TV interviews about it.
Mm-hmm.
So wouldn't that show he really did want to share it with the world?
I know, it would seem that way. And he reportedly did work for a little while along with NASA, Boeing, and the British government. But apparently he did share samples with them so they could run tests on the material. But simultaneously, he was really secretive. He would only share very small samples, and he allegedly would ask these organizations to try not to analyze the contents, just study how the material behaved. And so for why he would be so secretive, by some accounts, it was a question of money. One news article from a few years ago quotes someone as saying he would change his demands daily for how much money he wanted for his formula. But many others have said that really it was that he was afraid of his work being used for the wrong purposes, and that even patenting the material, he was worried that could result in others being able to duplicate it or find something really similar to it and then weaponize it instead of using it to produce something good, like protecting people from fire and from burning.
So when Ward died in 2011, he had never patented the formula, and he'd never struck a deal with Boeing or NASA or any of the other big aerospace companies that had expressed interest in the material. Does that mean Starlight died with him?
This is where the mystery continues, because there are two companies out there that claim they're carrying on his legacy. So the first I want to talk about is called Starlight Technologies. It's a company based in Texas. The vice president is Nikki Ward McDermott, one of Ward's daughters. She claims she's got something close to her father's recipe. Now, I didn't get the chance to actually speak with her, but I did talk with the CEO of Starlight Technologies, Chris Bennett. And I think the first thing that really became apparent to me is that he very much believes in this mission that Morris Ward originally talked about preventing unnecessary deaths from fire, creating fireproof casings for engines. He's very much driven by this vision.
So is his company working on patenting the material then?
He actually says no, that despite the fact that they have the formula, they're not doing research and development on it, but instead focusing more on outreach to get media and firefighter groups and other organizations excited about what Starlight can do. Here's a quote from Chris Bennett.
The key word forward is publicity and public awareness. The public has a right to know about this technology, and the fact that most people have never heard of it after all this time, and it was big news all over the world in the 1990s, is a real red flag that there's some kind of a problem in our country.
He says one of the biggest obstacles they face in this kind of outreach is people who believed the entire Starlight story is a hoax.
Okay, so if Starlight Technologies wants the world to believe that they can make Starlight, why don't they just show the world they can do it?
That's a great question. This is what Bennett said when I put that question to him.
We could probably do a demonstration on a video on the internet, but I've posted videos on YouTube and then they get 0 hits, except for the friends and people that I send there. And so I haven't really bothered with that because until we get an opportunity to demonstrate it on television or something, I don't think it's really going to matter.
He also told me that he feels his company has been blocked from getting onto the market.
Okay, so what about the other company?
So the other company does seem to be doing a lot more work on developing a formula. It's called Thermoshield, and it's based up in Sacramento. And according to CEO Rafael Silva Alfonso, Morris Ward's family sold him the formula after Ward died. Now, one really interesting thing about this is that Alfonso says everyone who's trying to recreate Starlight with household materials, they're on the wrong track. He says that the idea that the Starlight is made of household materials, that it's non-toxic, very easy to make, he said that that was a lie that Ward perpetuated to keep people from figuring out the real ingredients.
Right, and didn't he say that he could feed it to his pets?
Right, he did say that. His daughter has said that, and Alfonso says that's just not true.
Yeah, he was very, very secretive about it, and he also liked to play jokes on people. He was just like that. But neither PVA glue or baking powder or baking soda are in the ingredients. It's not made out of household stuff.
Okay, so how far along are they in developing Starlight?
Well, according to Alfonso, Thermoshield is working on 2 parts of that process. The first is they're trying to develop an actual scalable material, something that can be produced not just in these small samples, but produced on a large scale, distributed in large quantities, something that can be applied easily to whatever material you need. And secondly, they're working on finding investors. He says they've even approached another company to talk about the patentability of what they've got so far. So when I ask him for his take on this other company, Starlight Technologies, and the formula that they've created, he kind of throws the gauntlet at Ward's daughter, Nikki, who again is one of the executives of this other company, Starlight Technologies.
I challenged Nikki to come up with a demonstration and third-party validated real results. That's the way of moving forward with this.
Speaking of validation and results, Thermoshield has posted a video on their website with what looks like a demonstration of their material, though the details are a bit hard to make out. However, just like Chris Bennett of Starlight Technologies, Alfonso wouldn't tell me what's in his formula, and he said he had turned down a request from the UC Merced students for a sample.
So then there's the question of collaboration. Can any of these companies work together on any of this?
Well, both of these companies say yes. To me in an interview, they'll say, we welcome collaboration, we welcome competition. This is all a way to get to a better product with all of these minds out there. And they've invited these UC Merced students to even call them up and work together. So we'll see if they actually follow through on those promises.
Fascinating material, so to speak.
Yes, indeed. Thanks, Alice.